So nice to meet you here on this space with Kundalini Journal. We really love to interact with you, and today we want to discuss about what are you living for, and what is your life is. And please tell us first about yourself. Where do you live, and where you came from?
Okay, well, my name is Raghubir Khalsa Kintisch, and I'm a New Yorker. I was born in New York. Even though I live in Los Angeles, I still consider myself a New Yorker. And I don't know, I guess because all my people are from New York, except my people who are from Brody in the Ukraine. And I'll just start today's discussion with something I learned from a friend of mine, which is "Какой прекрасный день." And I think that that is a really good place to start, since we're going to be talking about how do we live in the now, and what a beautiful, beautiful experience being in the now is, and how beautiful our life is. And so doesn't it mean like, wow, what a beautiful day it is, right? Isn't that what it means? So it's like saying, Wahe Guru, right? It's about embracing the beauty in the now. And that's pretty much how I live my life. So I came from New York. I came out here to Los Angeles for many, many years to do art. I was hired to paint in people's homes. And for many, many years, I did murals and very, very delicate kinds of decorative painting and mosaic work. And I was, I come out here, sleep on sofas, stay in hotels. And then when I had my daughter, I gave birth to my daughter, it was a little harder to come out here and bring her with me. And I said, it's so much easier out here in Los Angeles. So I came out here with my then husband, and we set up shop here. And I've been here ever since. That was 1989. And I love Los Angeles because anything goes here. It's like there's an attitude here. You can sort of rebirth yourself every day, and nobody cares. You say, oh, I'm going to change this about myself, and nobody cares. But in New York, if you change yourself, everybody's like, oh no, you've never been that way before. So I felt like a certain freedom out here, and I think that's why a lot of people come here, is because there's a lot of energy for self-renewal and trying things out. And I don't know, for the way that I live my life, which is all about trying things out, because I like to be fearless in all my endeavors. It's a good place for me, I think.
Did you start to make yoga in Los Angeles?
No, I studied yoga, not Kundalini yoga, but I started yoga probably when I was a teenager in New York. And I studied it, and then I became involved with Iyengar yoga. I studied Hatha yoga first, and then I studied Iyengar yoga here in Los Angeles. And I actually got introduced to Kundalini yoga by accident, because I went to a class that I thought was going to be Iyengar, and it ended up being a Kundalini class. And I was like, what's this? But when I went in, there's something about it. I heard Wahe Guru. The teacher was playing the mantra Wahe Guru, and it was amazing. Like when something like pulls you in, like it's just like kind of like a vapor comes in, it pulls you in. I just felt like, oh my God, this is like grabbing my heart. And I never looked back. And I just did that. I also had a very serious meditation practice. And I studied the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda in the Self-Realization Fellowship. I had done, a lot of meditation work for many, many years. And then when I found Kundalini Yoga, I was just sold. I just loved it, because all the different things that I was doing, I went one place to do my yoga, one place to do my meditation, and I had all these different places and practices. But in Kundalini Yoga, everything is together. You have physical practice, you have meditative practice, you have pranayama. You have all of the different aspects of yoga, the many different, aspects of yoga in one place. And I loved how rigorous and how much how much it required you give your all, and that's the kind of person I am. So it really appealed to me because I'm kind of an endurance junkie. So I liked pushing myself. So it worked for me. And it also got me out of trouble. And I was kind of in a bad place when I came to Kundalini Yoga. So it really healed me and saved my life. So, physically and also emotionally. So I have a lot to owe to the teachings of Yogi Bhajan because they really helped me.
Would you like to tell us about this story of your healing?
Oh, yes. Well, one of the stories of my healing is that I was because I told you I was a decorative painter, and I would be on ladders and scaffolding, painting ceilings and walls for like 10, 12 hours a day. Imagine being in this position, painting like that, or be like scrunched up on the floor. And I would do that, and I hurt my neck and I hurt my back. And after a while, I couldn't turn my head. I couldn't move my arms. They were numb. I had like neuropathy in my arms, and my back was like messed up. And I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't use my hands. And I went to many doctors, and they really couldn't. They wanted to operate, and I didn't want to have an operation, especially because I'm an artist. These are my hands. I use them. I didn't want anybody cutting into them. And then one day, and I used to swim, I used to do triathlons, and I couldn't do any of that. And one day I was in my teacher Hadajivan's class, and he had us do some kind of pose for a long period of time. And something told me in my head, hold the pose. Sometimes when you're in a pose and you say, I'm going to just drop my arms. But something told me, keep your arms up. There's something in this for you. So I had my arms up like this. I don't know what position I was in, and I kept it up. And it was the most painful experience of my entire life. I felt like somebody's putting a knife in my neck and my arms. But all of a sudden, I felt that like I don't know, like God came in and held my arms up, and it was no effort. And all of a sudden I could feel my nervous system regenerating, and I could feel the power of my own nervous system kind of like just being reborn and regenerating into my body. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I had no pain. I could feel it changing. And after the exercise was over, I was able to move, I had feeling, and I was totally reborn. And I went up to my teacher, and I said, look at me. I can move. So I had many, many, many physical healings like that inside of the practice. So I always say, as a teacher, I say, I can't tell you to keep your arms up or whatever for the whole time, but there might be like the secret of your life might be inside of that pose, right?
Do you remember actually what position or what mantra it was playing the time when you received your first healing?
I don't remember. I was one of those I don't know. It was a crazy pose. I don't remember the pose. I don't want to tell anybody the pose because I don't remember. And I don't remember the mantra because I was so inside of the meditation that I don't remember. All I remember is it was painful. And then I knew something was happening. And I said to myself, I'm going to put my arms down. And like my soul said, no. It's like, you have to keep your arms up. There's like something magical that's going to happen. You keep your arms up. And it was so hard, and it was one of those 31-minute things, I'm sure. Anyway, so I know that there's tremendous healing inside of this practice. And so I just think it has so much potential, for all kinds of healing, also emotional healing, everything. It really does. It really works. So.
Wow. I know that you wrote a book and you're a very creative person. Did Kundalini Yoga changed your vision somehow, or how it maybe it's brought something in your creativity?
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, this is how I think of it. I think that our Kundalini energy is like an inheritance, right? You know, everybody has it. And it's like getting an inheritance from, you know, like a rich relative. You get like $1 million, right? And then you could use it and use it and use it, and then just spend it all in a year or even less, right? You just like spend it. But if you take that $1 million and you reinvest it, like if you go to a financial manager, right? And he or she takes that money and it teaches you how to invest it, you'll have 2 million or 3 million, right? So you always have more. And you never run out. And that's what Kundalini Yoga did for my creative energy, because I knew I had it. I always had it. But what it did, it helped me to manage it. So like practicing Kundalini Yoga was like having a financial manager for my creative energy, because I could never be without. I could always have it when I needed it. I always had, if I had one thing, I could make it 1 million things, because it could always, it could always multiply. And I always felt no matter what I gave, I always got back. So I was fearless in how much I produced. And so my production went up because I had more energy. Now I have a lot of energy anyway, naturally, but this just gave me more energy, and it gave me more control and focus over where I put my energy. Like if you have all that, right, if you have this inheritance and you put it in an investment that's not very good, then it won't grow. But if you put it into a good investment, it'll grow. So, the Kundalini energy, the Kundalini Yoga gives me the intuition to know where to put my energy.
How you decided to write the book, and what are you sharing about with people through your creativity?
Oh, well, first of all, just so you know, I've been an artist my whole life, from the time I was really little. I just woke up out of my crib and I knew I was an artist. I never had to say, oh, what am I? I was always an artist. And I also was a musician too. So, the creative arts were always a very big part of my life. And I went to art school. I went to college and studied art and got my Bachelor of Fine Arts. And then I went back to school 45 years later, and I got my Master's of Fine Arts. And I teach at the college level. I teach at 2 high schools. I teach art, I teach sculpture, I teach painting, I teach 2D art, I teach all kinds, even modern art history. So my whole life is making art, teaching art, living art. And when I started doing Kundalini Yoga, I started to think that, Yogi Bhajan was talking a lot about creativity, and that's what I was interested in. So my ear just I just listened to what he was talking about when it came to creativity. And I started to realize there was a lot of information and a lot of kriyas and a lot of meditations for creativity. And so I studied them and I practiced them. And I was asked to come give a workshop at an art school. And in doing so, I wrote my first book. And the first book was called Accessing the Creative Flow. It was just like a regular, book that you put on the Xerox machine. And I gave a big weekend workshop. And that was the first time I started to put all the teachings about creativity in one place. Then, what happened? Oh, yes. Then I decided that I wanted to work more on this and make another book. And it took about 8 years of study and practice and getting information and talking to people and doing research. And I had this idea. I read this lecture by Yogi Bhajan, and he said the law of creativity was to conceive, flourish, and deliver. And that was like a big seed that was planted like right in the middle of my head. And I said, if that's it, then I can let that seed grow. And then I realized that there were like all of these different yogic arts, like the art of the universal mind, right? because it's so important. It's like the basis of everything. Then the art of uplinking, because you have to uplink to the universal mind. And so there are certain tools and methods to actually uplink to the universal mind. Then you have to develop like the art of conceiving, which is to ready the mind, body, and spirit to take in, you know, what you get from the universe. Then there's the art of flourishing, and the art of flourishing is actually working on a project creatively, right? And it's like the most exciting thing, because it's like you're taking something and germinating it and growing it. It's like if you had a flower, you'd be watering it, putting it in the sun. You do that with your projects. And then the most important thing is the art of delivering, right? Because if you deliver, you're sharing it with the world. And as an artist, it's your responsibility to share it with the world. And if you deliver your project, you will be a happy person. If you don't deliver your project, it'll destroy you. Just like, you know, generate, organize, and destroy, or generate, organize, and deliver. Same thing with creativity. If you don't give what you're making, then it'll destroy you, right? And then after that, then there's like the art of healing, the art of prosperity, the art of self-care, the art of community. All of these things are part of being an artist or being a creative being, which is living in the now, because it means to have full awareness of everything in your life, so that everything becomes a piece of art. Everything becomes a work of art. If I'm cleaning my floor, I'm doing it through my heart. You know, I make it a beautiful thing. If I'm making food, it's an art. If I'm cleaning my bathroom, or if I'm, you know, washing my clothes, I think of it as an art. I think of when I have a relationship with people, and talking to you is an art form. And everything I do, when I walk my dog, it doesn't matter what it is, I do it from the heart. I do it as it were a piece of art. And I have so much appreciation for everything. You know, I just walk around like kakoi prekrasny tien, right? Everything is just like beautiful. It's such a beautiful day. And so anyway, all of that information I put into one book, which was called The 11 Yogic Arts. Here I am wearing the same turban. 11 Yogic Arts of Creative Living. This is me in New York at the Noguchi Museum in Long Island City. And the book is just filled with, you know, historical and references, and there's all kinds of recipes. And yeah, that's my x-ray. I broke my hand, and when I got better, I made the Gyan Mudra. I'm like, okay, I'm okay now. But there's everything is in here. And there's also like my artwork. There's also, I illustrated a lot of, these kriyas, and there's all kinds of, personal reflections. And oh yeah, here, this is me in high school. You can see.
Oh, great.
So I got everything's in here. My whole history. And my whole, so it's pretty, it's pretty comprehensive about, it's basically like a teacher training book, except that it's seen through the lens of creativity. So everything is seen through Yogi Bhajan's teachings of creativity. And then I thought, I think there's more. So then I wrote this book, which is called the workbook, so that people could actually go through this book and take a really deep dive into like how do you apply the teachings that are in here into your life? Like, for example, the first question, I'll tell you, share with you. The first question of this book, when you open it, it's like that, is right now, what do you want to do that you are not doing? And then the next question is, why not? I'd love to hear your excuses. Write some of them down. So people write down their excuses, right? And then the next question is, do you generally have the same excuses for not doing all the things you want to do? Because we do. Most people have the same exact excuse. So it's quite simple, really. You just have to, that's the secret of success, is to figure out what your excuses are and to get rid of them. Most of them are all the same. Oh, I don't have enough time. Oh, I don't have enough energy. I mean, those are easy, right? They're really fixable. And then each one of these chapters gives like a sadhana. So for the art of, let's say what is this? The art of the, what do you call it? The universal mind. One of the things you practice is 1 minute breath, right? Why? Because 1 minute breath will open you up to, to the cosmic flow, right? And all of these things are done to become a better creative being, or more comfortable with your creative being. So I did those. And then I decided just recently to start a school. And I started a school called the School for Creative Aquarians.
So
and
a school?
Yeah, I just started a school for creative Aquarians. And it's basically based on the idea that I want to create a living curriculum that is a curriculum of art, of creativity, and spirituality, or yoga. So that, everybody who is part of the school is part, it's like a co-creator in the curriculum. So we're all figuring out like what it is that it interests you, like who are the people, who's your community? Like, who do you want to teach? Who is your community? Who do you want to teach? And sort of collectively give the tools so that everybody can find the community that they want to teach, and teach through their own personal, their personality, without changing the teachings, but to teach from the perspective like I did. Like, I'm a creative person, so I was listening for the teachings through the creative ear. But if somebody is interested in some other, another kind of thing, then they can listen to it through that ear and do the research and find out there's a tremendous amount of information that can support your personal interest. So anyway, I just started it on the last new moon. It came to me, I had to do it on the moon, on the new moon, put it out into the world. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I couldn't believe what the reaction was. I mean, people can look at it. You could just look up creativeaquarians.com and you can kind of see what's there. Pretty soon we'll feature teachers, but it's people who want to teach. And I just started this course, which is the workbook version. I started it last Sunday, and that's going every other Sunday until September 19th. And we take it like chapter by chapter, and we practice the sadhanas for the 2 weeks. And then we get together and talk about it. And part of it is that each person has to commit to doing like a certain amount of time of creative play every day. So it starts off at like 5, you do a certain meditation, and then you do 5 minutes of play where you turn off your phone, you don't have any distractions, and it doesn't matter what you do, cook, draw, doodle, sing, dance, just something creative, I don't care, just do it. And you do it 5 minutes. And then as you go through the course, it becomes 10 minutes. Then it becomes 15 minutes, then it's 20 minutes. By the end of the course, you have 1 hour a day that you are devoting to your own personal play. No distraction, no judgment, just 150% self-love and creative flow. So those are the things that, I'm interested in doing. And then I'm going to teach a training, because I'm a trainer. So I'm going to teach another teaching kind of training in the fall. But right now I'm very excited about the birth of the school. And, if anybody wants to come aboard, just read about it.
Great. Yeah, and how it helps to Kundalini yoga teachers, because we have many students who was delivered from, I would say, from teacher trainings, and now they really want to awaken this creativity. Maybe this course could also be helpful for Kundalini yoga teachers who who just came to deliver this teaching, and how can they use your program or your book for this?
Well, my hope is that people will, and they have, buy this book. If you're a teacher, you can buy these books and you could say like, oh, I'm going to open the chapter, this is the simplest way. I'm going to open a chapter to the art of healing. And I'm going to read it and I'm going to learn some things about, and there'll be lots of quotes by Yogi Bhajan and other artists and other things. And then you can teach what you want from it. And then at the end of it is like suggested practices. So if you want to do that, like, for example, in healing, there's, like the breath of 10 meditation, right? And then it might be a yoga set. And there are other things in here. This one's mostly just meditations. This one has yoga sets, meditations, pranayams. This one's more comprehensive in terms of like more utilizing, you can utilize this better, I think, for teaching, like as a guidebook for teaching. So you can do that. I mean, you could take the course and you can, or you could give the course. I mean, there's nothing that's not, it's, the teachings of Yogi Bhajan. It's all, I didn't change anything. It's all the teachings of Yogi Bhajan in here. So, they can use it any way they like. It's just another way. It's like a way of reframing the teachings. It's like I just put them in different groups. Like, instead of coming up, you coming up with an idea, I'm going to teach a course on, connecting with the soul, right? So I may go into the library of teachings. I may have some books. I may, I may write things down in lectures. I put them all together. I make a class, right, or a workshop, just like that. But here I've kind of done it already. We're giving people an idea of what they could do. So right now I have people writing to me that they bought these books and they're already teaching from these books. Mm-hmm. They don't have to teach. They could teach the whole thing. My dream would be that people teach this, that they become, they become like spokespeople for this work that I did. It's not just for me. I want the world to experience this. So they can use it any way they want. They could use it as a guidebook for a class, a guidebook for a series of workshops. They can teach a whole training based on this. I mean, it's up to the person, but it's made for teachers, and it's also made for people who never even did Kundalini before, because it explains all the basics also. So anyway, it's my wish that it be used. And the reason why I created the School for Creative Aquarians is because I wanted something to exist outside myself. Mm-hmm. I wanted to create something that other people could participate and grow. It's for me, just like the law of creativity got planted in my brain. I want this work to be planted in somebody else's heart, so that they can make it grow for them and for others. So I just feel very strongly that these teachings they're so powerful, and so powerful for creativity, because they really open up your eyes.
Yeah, this is great attitude to the life, what you explained to us. Thank you. And you told about the connection of the soul, and exactly this will be the day that you will be introduced your class on the festival. Can you just give us the idea of this understanding, how we can connect this soul, this creativity, energy in us? And maybe you can just introduce the class on your festival's day. Yeah.
Okay. Well, creativity is the voice of the soul, right? It's just the way that the soul speaks or sings or moves, it's the vibration of the soul comes out in creativity. And it's who you really are. It's like your true self. And we do everything in our life up until a certain point where we're sort of like adapting habits and adapting all kinds of attitudes, And we have a certain way of looking at the world that kind of blocks us from who we really are. And we end up, in order to survive in this world, we sort of get sort of more involved with our ego than our soul. And we start, we stop paying attention to our own intuition, which, I mean, is, you cannot be intuitive and operate from the ego. They can't coexist. You either operate out of intuition from your soul, or you operate from the ego. And if you operate from the ego, you're not serving your soul, basically. So what you have to do is just basically shift your point of view so that you're operating from a place that nourishes you and feeds you. And to do that, you have to activate your intuition, because the intuition is kind of the escalator. It's like the quick way to connect with your soul through your intuition. So if you do things to activate your intuition, then what happens is that your dependence on the ego and the ego's reactions will diminish. I'm not saying get rid of the ego. You do need your ego, but you don't need so much of it. You don't need to make all your decisions from your ego, because then you're like saying, oh, I'm hurt. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I feel bad. Oh, I feel rejected. Oh, I feel competitive. You have all of these emotional reactions that sort of it's like it confuses where you're going. But if you act from the purity of your soul, and you're acting from your intuition and your higher self, and you're guided by higher consciousness and the universal mind, you can't go wrong. But it's like a muscle. It's like how many times have we gone into situations and we say, that doesn't feel right. Right. And then we say, no. That's just, that don't pay any attention to that. And then I know, I used to do that with relationships, right? You meet somebody and you say, that person isn't good. And then you see all these red flags and you say, but they're really cute. I can forget about all those red flags, or I could forget about that and just go for it anyway. That's kind of like what we do with everything. We're so attuned to what's around us, and we're constantly getting red flags and don't do that, do this is good for you. But we don't pay attention to it because our ego gets in the way. So the idea is to build the muscles of the intuition and to kind of diminish the reaction. So you develop the power to act, and you diminish the power to react. And that's what the class will be about. It'll be basically about building muscles, the muscles of intuition. And what that does is it connects you with the flow of creativity, because the flow of creativity is pure. And also the ego gets in the way of being creative, because the ego is the thing that says, that prevents you from delivering. And I said how important delivering is, right? Why don't we deliver? Well, we don't deliver because we're afraid of what people will think. We're afraid of being too great. We're afraid of being in the public eye. We're afraid to be criticized. We're afraid that we might not have any more, right? How many people don't deliver a project because they think they'll never be able to do it again? There's like 1,000,001 fears, and they all come from the ego. So the worst thing in the world in creativity is to operate from the ego, because it'll prevent you from doing what you're supposed to do, which is to share it with everybody. So I guess that's an overview of what's going to happen. I hope everybody will emerge from that workshop feeling, fearless and confident and in the flow. That's what I could hope for.
Could you just teach us one thing before this workshop for people who, are somehow depressed or feeling not very good? What would be your advice before the practice to feel yourself so bright as you do, to feel what a wonderful day, какой прекрасный день? What should be the first step of this feeling?
Well, first of all, mantra is to connect with a mantra. Have a mantra that's your go-to mantra, something that resonates with you. Like I told you, what pulled me in was Waheguru, right? right? I told you when I went into that class, that was the thing that made me feel good. If I just say Wahe Guru to myself and I have it in my head, there's no way that I can feel bad. The Wahe Guru cleans everything up for me. It just cleans it all up so that it's clear, it's pure, and it's bright. So first, I think mantra. Second is breath. The first thing, deep breathing. I mean, even before you do a kind of pranayama that's like complicated, just connect with your breath and breathe all the way into the belly, because the more you use your lungs, the more that your glandular system will secrete, and that will change your mood. It will change your brain. So, just really deep, breathe deep. That'll like into the belly. Yeah, just like, because we walk around pulling our bellies in because we want to look like slim and trim. So just breathe into the belly and expand the belly. And then exhale. And then just do that for a little bit. Even after 3 breaths, your whole mood changes and you get clear. So that's, I would say, long, deep breathing. That's what that's called, or, what's it, like conscious breathing. Conscious breathing is a really good way. And mantra is another, and also move the body. Yogi Bhajan said, if you had a bad thing, your mind is going in a certain direction, the best way to do it is just move the body so that it gets transferred into the physical body. So I think, moving, just dancing or taking a walk or doing, squats, or I don't know, anything really. You could do anything to move the body. I always end up, I do like this. Because I have like a lot of tension in my shoulders. So I do this and I roll my head around. I love cat-cow. Cat-cow is really good. But I think the best thing, find a mantra that works. Long, deep breathing. And breath of fire is good too. And cat-cow is great. And just try to see the beauty in all things. Just always say everything that you experience in your life, even if it's horrible, try to find like the goodness in it. Try and find a lesson. There's in Guru Pranam, the pose Guru Pranam, it means I bow to the teacher in all things. So no matter what happens in your life, always find something to learn from it. And just try to see the good in everything. There's always we say, in America, there's a silver lining. The cloud has a silver, dark clouds have a silver lining. So I just always look for the silver lining in everything. And I try to be kind. Kindness. If somebody said to me, what is spirituality? I would say spirituality is kindness in action. So it doesn't only mean being kind to other people, it also means being kind to yourself. So I guess that would be my advice.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you. And the last, it was just wondering for me when you were speaking at the beginning about New Yorkers, their attitude, and LA people. So, and then you were speaking about ego structure and ego mind and connection to the soul. And how do you think, is it something more related with ego in megapolises like New York? Because we have likely the same in Russia, for example. People who live in Moscow, they more act from ego. Even teachers are given classes from ego. It's more likely in Moscow, for example. And if people in St. Petersburg, for example, they more heart opening, and they teach from the heart, and they're more open. It's not totally, but in common. Can you see this in Europe, in New Yorkers and LA people?
Well, the New Yorkers and the LA people will hate me for telling you my truth, what I think.
Yeah, but this is.
But I'll
really
tell you what I think. I think that the New Yorkers are operating from the soul. I think it's like I think New Yorkers are straight, they're just like they're straight from the heart. They tell you what they think. There's no bullshit, right? The New Yorkers are, they're tried and true. That's why they don't change a lot, because I mean, in terms of like what I was experiencing in terms of art and, creativity, because they're like so rooted in culture, and they're so rooted in history, and it's like I think they feel their lineage really strongly, and they're very honest, and I think they operate from the heart and the soul. I think LA, while it's very, kind of, there's a turnover and there's a lot of energy and it's creative and free, I think there's a lot of ego here. And then it's like you have to watch out for the ego, like you have to watch out on the highway from all these cars, The ego comes at you all the time. You're always having to deal with the ego, because there's a lot of competition, for success here. There's a lot of activity. It's very creative, but there's so much ego. In New York, it's kind of like, it's like you are what you are, and I think it's just deeper, Do you know what I mean? It's like deeply rooted in kind of more traditional heart-centered activity. And where, and it comes on, like, people here look at people in New York and they say they're too direct. They're too real. They're too direct. They're, and in LA, they don't really say what they mean.
I understand.
Because they're afraid, the ego thing. So anyway, I hope I didn't offend anybody, but that's why I identify
this is how you feel.
Yeah,
This is just how you feel, people, because for me, it's always in different places, there is something common in people. So like in Odessa, we have likely the same, like you say in LA. So here is people always watch out for the interest.
Right, and I have a lot of friends who are from other countries, like people from different countries, and many have told me that I'm different than a lot of other Americans. That I have a different kind of friendship, because and it's probably because of my growing up in New York, and it also might be because of just my I'm from Europe, right? So my people are from with a Brody, right? They're from Eastern Europe, and so, and I'm not that, and it's only second generation. So I grew up with that kind of culture, and that kind of those kind of interests of the heart, interests of culture, interests of legacy and history. So those things really matter to me, like where I came from.
I really appreciate that you created a school and new community of creative people. But do you have some other communities of Kundalini Yoga students or Kundalini Yoga practices where people meet, practice together, or just stay in touch with each other? How is Kundalini Yoga is LA happening right now?
The only community that I'm really involved in is Rama, the Rama community, and because of the pandemic, everything was closed down. But I'm still involved with the Rama community, and they are pretty strong in Los Angeles. I'm not really involved. I'm involved with people. I have friends that are outside of the Rama community. However, the Rama community, I think, is the strongest and the most positive of all the communities that I've been involved in. So that's kind of what I'm connected to.
Yeah, great. So I think we need to finalize this meeting because we must
Time to
give
Yeah,
you
plus, I mean, I
give you
can talk all day, but I have to go to the doctor.
yeah. This is also needed to be straight on the timing. So thank
Right.
you very much. Thanks a lot for your
Thank-
time and your love that you shared with us. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so
See-
much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait till the festival.
Yes, see you on the festival. And I think we can think about the course that you give. Maybe we can organize for Russian speakers also, because now we are ready. Our team is growing, and now we can also help to deliver your teachings to Russian speakers. So
That would
I'm
be
really,
incredible.
yeah.
That
So
would be great.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Satnam, thank you both. Really, it was a
Satnam.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you
Satnam.
for a wonderful interview. I wish you a very good day today, and thank you for this mood and for your positivity.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for seeing it in me. Thank you. Bye.
Much
Great.
love. Bye bye.
Satnam. Bye.